Mom,
I wanted him to stay in the service. He was just getting out of the service.
what year?
1955.
Yeah.
And he got out, I think, around April 1955. And my birthday was May 12th, 1955. You know, born in 1938. But
You were 27
he
at the time?
had just come out of the service. His niece was my best friend in school, and he was Uncle Teddy. So to me, I was 16, going on 17 when I met him, 17 when I met him. And he was an older person. I mean, you used to think of Uncle Teddy as somebody older, another generation, you know. So anyway, though, I met him on the day that he was getting out of the service out of Fort Meade. They were reeing him out at Fort Meade. And I used to go everywhere with their family, and they picked me up and took me to Fort Meade. Well, what 17-year-old isn't going to go to Fort Meade where all the soldiers are? Love men in a uniform.
There you go.
Anyway, that's when I met him. And then Easter Sunday came right after he had gotten out of the service. He was squeezed in the middle of a...
But isn't Easter in April, Mom?
Huh?
Easter's in April, right?
I don't know what it was that year, but Easter was after I had met him and they had picked him up at Fort Meade.
Okay.
Because the first time I saw him, he was squeezed in the front of a Studebaker, and he didn't have any shoulders. And I'm thinking, that's Uncle Teddy?
That everybody says so cute?
Yeah, they were saying how good looking he was. You know, that's all you ever heard, stuff like that about him. But he didn't have any shoulders when I...
You were like, that's not going to
That
work.
was a big disappointment. Anyway, though, then he got out of the service, and Marie went to pick him up. Because he had been in Germany and didn't have a car or anything at that time. Just getting back. And they picked me up to go to Fort Meade. And that's when I saw him. He was marching, I think, to go get his papers or do something. I don't know. But he was over in Fort Meade. Then he got in the car.
Then you were like, oh.
No. No. I'm afraid not. No. And
you were like, okay.
Easter Sunday, we went down to his mother's house. She used to make the best biscuits on earth. Never measured anything. And we used to go down there, and she would always make a batch of biscuits and stuff for us. So we used to sit there and eat those biscuits. But everybody had gone up. It was ashore, had a little local bar, and he was all up there. People giving him free drinks.
On the Eastern Shore?
Welcoming him back. It was
in Maryland?
Lombardy Beach, Maryland. And I was still down in the house. I was just sitting there watching TV.
Whose house?
I didn't want to go up there.
His mom and dad's house?
Uh-huh. And he came back down from the bar, and that's the first time that we kissed.
Oh, hey, he looked pretty cute then.
He looked better.
Dad was good looking.
But he was still married.
He looked, oh.
No, he was still married.
Uh-oh.
He was still married.
Dad!
Jack, he was in the middle of they had separated before he went into service.
Okay.
And they weren't living together. No, they had separated just before he went into service. In fact, she's the reason why he was in the service.
So they were separated a long time beforehand. And he'd been in the
No, just off and on, I think it was up. But then she her and her mother put him in the service. They drafted him. And it was...
For real?
He was in there for like 2.5 Yeah.
She did that. Your first wife put you in military?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
anyway,
Well, hey, her mother did it.
Well, she had a little something to do with it.
I
Anyway.
hated him. Anyway,
Wow, really?
yeah.
Who hates Dad?
And she was going with some, she had a boyfriend and all too. She was going with some guy. I see an Italian man or a Greek man owned a restaurant down there in Curtis Bay. But in any event, I wouldn't go with him. I wouldn't date him. I wouldn't do anything until he had divorce papers.
That's
I'm
right.
17 years old, not getting involved in that. Thank you very much. And on my birthday, apparently he had gotten his papers, his final divorce papers, and his sister worked in a store, Aunt Marie, and he bought candy and perfume, I think a badminton set,
Oh my God, he's such a
which
nerd.
I wasn't allowed to play in the front yard because it was train highway and the soldiers were going by, can you believe? And
He's jealous. Dad's always jealous.
And anyway, that was the rule.
He's jealous of you.
Anyway, that was it. Then we started dating, and then 6 months later we got married.
And then you had Fred. How many months later?
2 years later.
Wow.
Every night.
Fred was the firstborn. First of many.
Many
What?
text. He responds to me every night so we could have sex.
Oh my God.
Please, let's not go there.
Don't talk about that. You're pissing Mom off.
Really.
Huh?
Don't talk dirty.
That's not her. That's not her.
That is dirty, Dad. You can't talk about like that in front of your daughter. I'm your daughter.
Was you born?
I was born when you were in 1966, so you were 36 years old when I was born.
11 years later.
7 years later, I was born.
11 years later. I got married.
I just know he was born in 1930, and I was born in 66, so that's
We were
30.
married in 55. November 12th, 1955.
I know, but Dad was,
And his birthday, I didn't realize it was the 12th. We had
he was 36 when I was born.
Yeah,
And you were born in 1938,
38.
and I was born in 66, so 38, 48, 58,
26
68,
years
minus 2. You were 26.
And I was 17 when I got married.
That's awesome. That's what they did back then.
And I think I was 20 or 21 when I had to think of the year when Fred was born.
And you're 81 now. You're 81 now.
Mm-hmm.
And how old are you?
I'll be 81 in May.
How old are you, Dad?
When? When?
Now, how old are you?
You gotta ask your mother. I don't know.
She takes care of everything.
His 88.
You're 88.
88? Jesus Christ. Time to die.
What? You've been saying that every year for the last 15
He thought he
years.
was going to die. A fortune teller in Germany told him he was going to die when he was how old?
I don't know.
She told you what, 45 you were going to be dead? That tells you how good she was.
So you're 88, and today's your 63rd wedding anniversary. 63 years.
50.
63 years you've been married.
You're 88. How old was your father?
My father was 90 something when he
Yeah, I
died.
thought 93, 95. And
Dang.
Art was 93 when he died, I believe.
Yep, your brother, Uncle Art. And
But
then,
Uncle Earl died early. Boy, he was like a bull. I'm not kidding you.
I remember him
I
carrying the
saw
air
that
conditioner
man.
up the steps.
I saw that man lift it was a window air conditioner, and that thing was this big. I'm not kidding.
I
It
saw
had to
him.
be
I remember
had to be
that.
a
Up the steps.
Had to be a 2-ton. He was a stevedore at the port of Baltimore, and he was like a bull, and he had the gentlest personality. And you'll find that these people that are really tough guys, that's the way it is. It's not these little braggarts that go all over the place like these Democratic protesters.
Yeah.
They're punks.
Yeah,
He was a really tough guy.
but he was polite and had
he
manners.
was polite. He was very easygoing. But if you got that man on the other side of easy, you pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, you would be in a world of hurt. And there was no two ways about it. I saw that man, he lifted up a 2-ton air conditioner by himself. By himself.
And he carried up the
He
steps.
put
I remember
up steps,
seeing him doing it.
Up the steps, on the back porch, and put it in the window. At that time, we had just bought, the house was new, but we didn't have central air. And before we got central air, that's what we had. We had an extra air conditioner in the kitchen, on the kitchen window. But my first house in Glen Burnie, Maryland, at Autumn Glen was $12,990.
Dang!
And that was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, fully finished basement, beams in the kitchen, hardwood floors, nice house. Had to be. I really can't remember the square footage. It was between 15 and 2,000 square feet. 12,000. You can't even buy a car for that now.
Well, I know the house we bought in Baltimore, looked it up, worth a lot of money. I looked it up because I wanted to buy it.
It's about
For ya.
300,000.
It's up there.
Well, originally it cost $12,000, darling.
I remember that 2-story house next to Cindy Cornelius lived next door. So it was a cousin of Aunt KK's or
Right.
something. And then I
Had like a
remember
little hill and a running creek.
Jim
across the
Braun's
street.
daddy, Mr. Braun, lived down the street. That was Daddy's best
I
friend.
don't even know if Jimmy knows what that house cost originally, but it was. I'm sure he remembers it, and it was $12,990, and we were such good friends. His father, Shirley. Leighton was as close to me as my brother. Really, he was in my heart, and I loved them. They were the best people I have ever known. I was having difficulties with pregnancy, and I had passed out at home. And the children, their house was our house, basically, with the kids. They could run up and down the street to each other's house, and they came running and told Shirley. Leighton came down and carried me from my house to his house, and Shirley took care of me. Had to be 3 days to a week. My feet did not hit that floor. And she's taking care of her children and 5 of mine. And that's quite a choice.
Jim still works like that.
And you don't.
That boy works like a
you don't
maniac
find
still,
friends
the
like
son.
That. You don't find
Yeah?
friends like that anymore.
No, he's my best friend right now.
And when he died, he broke my heart. Really, he did. And your father's too.
I remember you guys went to Maryland. You said he lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, Shirley. Well, he visited us in Florida because we moved from Maryland after he left. You know, actually, they moved first. They moved to Louisiana, and then I don't know, a year later, we moved down here.
77.
Anyway, no, it just wasn't the same without him, truly. And he worked for the newspaper up there, the Baltimore Sun, as did I, but he was on the street all the time, and it was getting so dangerous there. They started robbing people, and you know, he was working for extra money. He was a cab driver on the side, and he had somebody try to steal his watch, and I had just given him that watch, and they reached in and he beat the shit.
His dad was a boxer.
And he told me, he said, I'd rather fight him than fight you over that watch. I had just given it to you. So, that's what he said. Yeah, but it was getting dangerous out there. I had 5 children, and you know, we needed to be together. He didn't need to be on those streets anymore. It was just getting too bad. And they were finding out that the newspaper men had to collect those boxes.
All the money.
Yeah, and he was a supervisor, and he was 1 or 2 days a week. They had money on him because they had to empty the paper boxes, and it would end up being quite a bit. But it got too dangerous out there for him, so we decided to move down here.
77. I remember that part. I was in 3rd grade. Remember that, Dad?
How old were you then? 3rd grade? 6, 7, 8, 9.
66, 76. I was 11.
9, 11? See, I don't even remember those things anymore. And I think Jerry was 13 because she had a birthday shortly after we moved down here.
Oh, then I might have been much younger. I don't know. Maybe we bought the house in Brandon in 77. I can't remember. So, Dad, what do you have to say to Mom for being married to you for 63 years?
I said, you're lucky as hell.
I'm lucky as hell.
Oh, my God. And that's
He
all you...
thinks that too, don't they?
You really think that?
Huh?
You really think she's lucky?
Yeah. He is lucky. I'm a good guy.
Because you're a good guy?
And I was a good guy, but he friend, a friend of me, and they cheated on me.
Oh, whatever. His imagination's going. Anyway, Dad.
After we moved here, I was what, in my 73, 74 years old. And he's watching the neighbor guys. I'm apparently
Okay. All right. Wow, that was fun. We're gonna be
my whole life.
Oh no way! All right, that was really fun, and this is my parents' 63rd anniversary. I can't stop laughing. They're pretty flowers. And what did you say?
I'm
Happy
lucky.
anniversary!
Aren't I lucky?
You're so lucky.
I am lucky.
All right. Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.